I'd like to call the meeting to order tonight, the Public Schools of Robertson County, for our monthly February meeting. And first item is the invocation, and Mr. Terry, I think you're on the agenda scheduled to give the invocation. And I'm going to ask before you give the invocation, we lost former board member Mr. Paul Brooks a few weeks ago, and I'd like to have a moment of silence for him. And also Mr. Steve Martin, former school board member, his mother passed away recently. And in Mr. Martin's case, he's lost a son, his wife, and his mother, probably within the last 2 years or so, I would say. So if we could have a moment of silence for those two families, and then you can lead us with the invocation.
Father God in heaven, we commit this meeting to you. We ask, oh Lord, that you come and reveal, Lord, what your will is to be done in this meeting, Lord. As we discuss these affairs, Lord, for our district, we ask for your will to be done. We ask you that you enlighten us to direct our thoughts and our path, Lord, to get the best thing done for our district, Lord. And whatever's accomplished, Father God, we'll always give you the praise and honor for it all. It's in Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, at this time, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Move. Second.
Randy, and a second by Mr. Gentry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a motion for minutes.
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Brenda and a second by Mr. Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Going down to information items, professional development, the first topic there. Board members, I'd ask you first to look at the sheet there that says NCSBA News. And this is from North Carolina State Board Association. And read through this. I'm not going to read it word for word. There are some regional conversations here that they're going to be doing. I think they're an hour sessions, and they're doing 3 of those. February, and there's one in May that did get cut off, and then there's one in August, and these of those are for an hour. There's no credits for this year, what this program is, but it tells you, explains it here. And if you're interested in that, again, please get up with Miss Patty, and she can take care of anything that needs to be done, and there's no charge for that. Now, the part I did want you to look at the bottom of the second page, Board Officers Academy, and there is 6 hours worth of credit there. And it's not just for officers of the board, it can be for anybody on the board. And there is a temporary or a preliminary agenda on the last page. And a lot of these are folks that we heard earlier last fall with some workshops we did. And a lot of good speakers here. But if you're interested in this, it is worth 6 hours credit. And you see the date, it's February 26th, and it's basically all day. Now, again, I'm going to ask you to please contact Ms. Patty on any of this if you're interested, and please do it by next Monday, which I think will be February 16th, by either emailing or calling or text. Now, on this 6 hours, if you decide to do that, we need a commitment there because there is a price per board member. I think it's $150. So if you decide to do that, please make sure that that's in your agenda where you can take care of that. And again, please contact Ms. Patty by Monday week. The next page is one I put on your desk, and this is in conjunction with Miss Jessica Sawinski and Dr. Beverly Emery, who has worked with us. And we had talked about them doing some additional training for us. And what they have done is sent me this information, and it's just dealing with workings of the school board, with the superintendent, workings of the board members among themselves, and just different functions of the board. And they sent out some information with a weekend retreat, doing something the 26th and 27th, or March 5th and 6th, or March the 12th and 13th. And they got some suggestion times there. We would meet one of those. Or you go down to B, and they're looking at doing 3 separate days of 1 day only, and they tell you there they would give you an assignment. Don't know what that would be. They would work it out for some renewal credit on either one of these we would choose. We would do A or B. And what I would ask you to do is look over this and by Next Monday also, get in touch with me on what your preference would be. You want to get in touch before Monday, that's fine, but get in touch with me what your preference would be, email, text, whatever you need to see where the majority is. Make sure you check your schedules where you would be convenient and where you would be available, because we'd like to have hopefully all board members, but if not, as many as possible. And that would all be held here. Any questions on any of that? Okay, if not, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Lowe's recognition. And I would ask if Miss Lane Locklear and Mr. Randy, if you want to go up front with her. The Public Schools of Robeson County Board of Education would like to thank Lowe's Improvement and Board Member Mr. Randy Lawson for their donation of mulch and other items to the central office. This donation will help us in continuing to make improvements and ensure our central office looks great. And I will say, over the years that I've been on the board, Lowe's is constantly or continually making contributions to the Public Schools of Robeson County, and we greatly appreciate it. Ms. Lane, would you like to say anything?
First of all, thank y'all for inviting me. Lowe's is my home. I'm there for 27 years, so, and I'm glad to help our community. I think it's very important. Over the years, I've seen the hurricanes going through, we've just, you hear sad stories, but just to be able to help our community, help our schools. And now we have this Generation T, which is about trade schools, where we can help our children, give them opportunities to know that they can find something to do. They don't have to just go to a meal or go to a restaurant to work, that they can actually find trades that will help them grow and become better adults over the years. So thank you guys, what you guys do every day to help our kids and education in our community and our county.
Thank you.
Again, Ms. Lane, this says, presented to Lowe's Home Improvement for your continued support and commitment to the public schools of Robeson County. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Can we get one with the superintendent, for the superintendent? Yeah.
You gotta quit forgetting that.
Side of your eyes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next, I think we have Mr. Tate Johnson from United Way. And Mr. Johnson, we would like to thank the United Way of Robeson County. Robeson County would like to thank the United Way for a donation of 140,500 masks for our students. Again, that was 140,500 masks. This kind act shows how invested our community is in our school system. Your generosity will ensure the health and safety of our students. Again, we thank you for your kindness and support.
Thank you, Chairman Lowry. Thank you to the full board and to Dr. Williamson. United Way truly appreciates our partnership with the public schools of Robeson County. Whether we are providing scholarships for project graduation with Jerome, 2 years ago when, it's a funny story about Jerome, 2 years ago when the school system closed one of the high schools, we met with Jerome this past year for project graduation. And Jerome said, even though we're down one high school, you're still going to give me the same amount of money. Is that correct? And I thought and we would continue as well. I want to thank Gordon Burnett. I know he's not here tonight. He has served as the employee campaign coordinator for the public schools of Robeson County for the past 2 years, and we hope that he is voluntold again for the coming year to serve as that employee campaign coordinator. In 2019, the generous donors who work in the school system donated a total of $17,000 to our annual campaign. This year, during a pandemic, The school system was the only account we had that saw an increase, and it was up to $25,000 in donations from teachers and staff across the district. So we want to thank you for our partnership, and appreciate everything. And the $140,000 masks are just a small part in helping children get back into school safely. Thank you.
Hey, this says presented to the United Way of Robertson County for your continued support and commitment to the public schools of Robertson County.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll come right down here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item we have is National Federation of State High School Association Recognition, Mr. Jerome Hunt.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Williamson, Chairman Lowry, board members. I'm here tonight to recognize one of our outstanding athletic performers from one of our high schools, the high school being Lumberton High School. Recently, Lumberton High School was recognized by the National Federation of State High School Associations with the coaching staff earning level 1 status within the NFHS School Honor Roll program. The newly instituted NFHS School Honor Roll is a national recognition program designed to promote professional development for high school coaches by completing specific online education courses through the NFHS Learning Center. Level 1 status for high school can be obtained by having 90% of your coaching staff complete various course combinations. The courses for Level 1 Honor Roll are concussions in sports, sudden cardiac arrest, fundamentals of coaching, and protecting students from abuse. Lumberton High School will receive a banner from the NFHS at a later date to hang in their gym. A statement from Dan Schuster, who is the NFHS Director of Educational Services. Mr. Schuster says, "We all strive to hang banners in our schools for achievements. Earning this banner is a symbol that your school and your coaches are committed to providing a great experience for young people, something that everyone can be proud of within their community." Tonight, on behalf of the public schools of Robertson County, I would like to present this plaque to Lumberton High School for their national distinction and say thank you for being leaders and setting an example for our future Level 1 schools. Representing Lumberton High School tonight is Assistant Principal, Ms. Kelsey Cummins. And the plaque reads, "Congratulations to Lumberton High School on achieving Level 1 status within the National Federation of High School Athletic Association, School Honor Roll 2020-2021. Congratulations."
Okay, the High School Students of Excellence, Ms. Valerie Hammond.
Chairman Lowry, my name is Valerie Hammond, an AIG teacher. This evening, we will recognize students for the 2020-21 school year. On behalf of the academic, intellectually gifted and the Chamber of Commerce organizations for Lumberton, Fairmont, Pembroke, Red Springs, and St. Falls. We will start with PSRC Early College at RCC. In 13th grade, we have Marilyn Dominguez Gutierrez, University to become a certified public accountant and to be a president of a Fortune 500 company. Her parents are Javier Dominguez and Maria Elena Reguelas Aguero. In 12th grade, we have Rachel Clegg. She would like to help students realize their potential in and outside of academics by becoming an English teacher. Her parents are Stephen and Kim. In 11th grade, we have Elizabeth Olin Lopez. She plans to attend the UNC Chapel Hill School of Nursing to become a registered travel nurse. Her parents are Eduardo and Maria Lopez. In 10th grade, we have Madison Burlington. She plans to attend NC State University to major in atmospheric science and to pursue a career at the National Weather Service in Norman, Oklahoma. Her parents are Matthew Brewington and Joni Howell. In 9th grade, we have Jonathan Hunt. He would like to get a dream job in technology and enjoy going to work every day. Jonathan wants to be able to support his family, have a fun life, meet new people, and give back to his community. Okay, I'm gonna take my mask off. Next, we have Fairmont High School. In 12th grade, we have Sophia Schuster. She plans to be an aspiring graphic artist, as known as an expressionist, subjective, right-brain thinker, creative, free thinker, intuitive-oriented, communicates with feelings, and triggers mood. And her mother is Amy Schuster. In 11th grade, we have Alyssa Shockley. She plans to attend UNC Chapel Hill to become a pediatrician, and her parents are Robert and Christian Shockley. In 10th grade, we have Hannah Pearson. She plans to attend UNCP and major in elementary education in order to become a teacher, and her parents are Reverend Brian McNair and Dr. Miranda Gilchrist McNair. In 9th grade, we have Peyton Gall. She plans to attend ECU and major in social work and to cheer at the college level. And her mother is Lynn Connor. Next, we have Lumberton Senior High School. In 12th grade, we have Paige Brown. After graduating high school, she plans to attend ECU, where she has been accepted into the ECU Honors College. Paige will be obtaining a bachelor's degree in biology with a major in Spanish, and then she plans to attend medical school and receive her doctorate in pediatrics. Opening her own pediatric practice is her ultimate goal, and her mother is Jennifer Brown. In 11th grade, we have Sumter. After high school, he plans to major in environmental engineering at NC State University. Ashton then hopes to find a job that allows him to better the environment, because that is a critical issue in today's society. Lastly, he would like to become the best version of himself and give back to those who helped him along the way. His parents are Aurelia Sumter and Keisha Cummings. In 10th grade, we have Lauren Lamb. She plans to attend a four-year university and earn a bachelor's degree in political science. And her parents are Jamie and Donna Lamb. In 9th grade, we have Chloe Hammonds. She plans on going to the UNC at Chapel Hill for dermatology. UNC is one of the top 10 best schools for dermatology. Dermatology would allow Chloe to help people look and feel better. And her parents are Adrian and Cynthia Hammonds. Next, we have Purnell Sweat High School. In 12th grade, we have Maya Sampson. Due to an injury while playing travel soccer, Maya is currently learning to walk again. She tore her ACL and meniscus. This has not taken her spirit away. It has made her strive forward to get better and play soccer and tennis at William Peace University and pursue a degree in physical therapy or physician assistant. Her parents are Ryan and Dana Sampson. In 11th grade, we have Emily Goins. She plans to attend UNCP Pembroke to obtain her bachelor's degree. then transferred to UNC Chapel Hill to obtain a master's and doctoral degree in medicine. Her parents are Kevin and Camilla Goins. In 10th grade, we have Samuel Hunt. He would like to hold a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering from NC State, and join the United States Air Force as a fighter pilot, and attend the USAF Test Pilot School to later become an astronaut. His parents are Timothy and Denise Hunt. In 9th grade, we have Camry Cummings. Camry wants to pursue a degree in pre-med. At this time, her focus is general surgery, but she is considering specializing in heart surgery. She has always wanted to help people and give back to those in need. Her parents are John and Carol Cummings. Next, we have Red Springs High School. In 12th grade, we have Kirsten Locklear. Kirsten plans to attend UNCP to achieve a bachelor's degree in chemistry, and then to Campbell to receive a master's and PhD in program pharmacy. Her mother is in 11th grade, we have Caitlin Smith. She plans to attend UNCP to major in biology. After college, Caitlin wants to join the Army National Guard and proceed with her education to become an orthopedic surgeon. Her parents are Craig and Cynthia Smith. In 10th grade, we have Shakoria Chavis. She plans to become a pediatrician and one day open her own clinic. And she was raised by her grandmother, Joy Smith, and her uncle, Bender Locklear. In 9th grade, we have Caleb Rockington. His future plans are to attend a 4-year university and major in business administration. His parents are Nathan Brooks Jr. and Sherry Brock. Our last school is St. Paul's High School. In 12th grade, we have Sophia Holloman. Sophia plans to attend college and pursue a degree in biology and minor in microbiology, and then obtain her medical degree by the age of 30. Her parents are Christopher and Julia Holloman. In 11th grade, we have Talia Council. Talia plans to pursue her love for animals by studying animal science and zoology. Her parents are Stephen Council and Tina Colvin. In 10th grade, we have Treasure McNeil. Treasure's future plans are to be a dentist. Her parents are Enoch and Detra McNeil. And in 9th grade, we have Ronnie Hightower. Ronnie's future plan is to be successful, go to college, and become a nurse or a veterinarian. And her parents are Hugh Hightower and Kennedy. So this concludes our presentation, and congratulations to all the students of excellence. I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce members for their partnership with Public Schools of Robeson County and efforts in this process. The guidance counselors for their hard work and collaboration, and also Cole Wilkins and for their help in constructing and presenting the slide presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond, and congratulations to all of those students and their parents. This time we have IEA Emergency Supplemental HPF Grant Award, Dr. Robert Locklear and Dr. Connie Locklear.
Mr. Chair, I got a text that, I don't know if we got a sensitive mic or what, but they're hearing a lot of paper ruffle in the mic.
Chairman Lowry, Superintendent Williamson. We are here tonight to inform you that our application for the Emergency Supplemental Historic Preservation Fund for Hurricanes Florence and Michael, granted to the Indian Education Center, formerly known as Pembroke High School. And at this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Connie Locklear to come forward and share the amount of the grant, and she is the author of the grant. So we want to say thank you, Dr. Connie, for your expertise in putting this together and the collaboration with your team. Thank you.
Chairman Lowry and Superintendent Fields and everyone else, board members.
Thank you for allowing me to be here and to share about this grant. I'd like to give you some background information. Several years ago, in 2018, when Hurricane Florence hit the Invocation building, many of you are aware that the building was practically demolished. I received a phone call that Saturday that the roof was off, so I went out there thinking it was just a little bit. I called, text Mr. Ernie, and then they came with me all over the park. When he saw the building, he said, "We can't help you right now, everything was closed." So my husband and I went out there along with Mr. Billy next door, and we poured those artifacts out during that storm to try to save as many as we could. And the Governor Cooper, was made aware of this, and he sent, at the time, it was Secretary Hamilton, she was the Secretary for National Resources, down to our building and provided help in the restoration of many of our artifacts. And Secretary Hamilton actually was the individual that wrote the application for the Indian Education Building to be a historical building. So she had a connection to the building as well. Well, then, the building had been hit in 2016 with Hurricane Michael.
Matthew.
Thank you, Hurricane Matthew, and then again with Hurricane Florence. But as a result of that, one of the ladies that came to help with the restoration of some of our artifacts sent me the grant back in May of 27. And I wanted to say all that because all of this came about with those individuals being part of this process. But the funding for this grant was funded in part or in whole by the Historic Preservation Fund. It was administered by the National Park Service. The grant total for the building is $688,098. So we are very pleased to have that. The grant opportunity, as I said, was sent to me in May. I shared the information with Dr. Robert with permission to proceed with the grant. During the time when I was writing the grant, I had to contact the grant lead in Raleigh, and we had to have a consultation meeting to even see if we qualified, and then they came out to the building. This was during the pandemic, so we met at the building during that time, and we were able to proceed with the grant. Mr. Robbie Locklear, who's an engineer with Locklear and Jacobs, he was part of helping me get some information together because I really wasn't familiar with how much it would take to repair all this stuff. So he was really instrumental in that. The building was built in 1938, and there are many cracks in the brick. So when it rains through the brick into the building. And right now, even though they have been replaced multiple times, I still have ceiling tiles that have water leaks. So the hope is that this building will be fixed and secured for generations to come and to enjoy Indian education. Many of you are already aware, but our grant is one of the largest grants in the nation with over $2 million annually. And we are very proud of what this grant provides for our district, because our grant is there to help support the district's initiative as it relates to dropout prevention. We work with attendants, we call parents, we are social workers to the American Indian students. We provide a lot of support when it comes to student services. So we were very honored and very thankful to get this grant. As I said in your packet, you can see that there were two entities in Robeson County that received a grant. One was the Indian Education Building and the other one was Flora McDonald. And I think theirs was $520,000. There was also, Hope County received one as well. And Scotland County, I think theirs was $120,000, and that was for the John Blue building over there. So thank you for this time. We are very honored and thankful that this money is coming to Robeson County and it will help the education building. Thank you.
Folks, if I may, Dr. Locklear, some of us seen the building and it was basically devastated, and she didn't talk enough about what her and her husband did and some other people as far as just getting items out. And then those folks, if you had the opportunity to go up there with those folks that came in from Raleigh, store these items, folks, as far as meticulous painting, they had these paint brushes, and after they dried all these items out, they were there literally with these very fine brushes just brushing stuff. They were afraid to touch it. It took a lot of time to do what they did, to first get the items out, and then to come back in and have somebody that restores these type things to do it. So there was a lot of things done to save what was in that building, and now hopefully this grant can help preserve the building. And thank you and congratulations.
Mr. Craig, I want to make a statement. I was up when the governor came and
Yes.
ladies were there cleaning those artifacts, and there was one there, Mr. Pinchback, was it the vest kind? I can't remember, but they had spent hours and hours, 20-some hours, trying to clean that and restore it. And they were so proud that they had saved that, and they showed it to the governor when he came, Governor Cooper. So it was just, Mr. Craig's right, Mr. Connor's right. The accolades for what Dr. Connor has done and her staff and the public school system that working with that endeavor. I went up there that next day, and honestly, the odor was so bad that I couldn't breathe. I had to get out. I admire all those people who went in and worked in that situation. It was just unbelievable. What they have done is just admirable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dr. Williamson?
Mr. Chairman, members, thank you for the opportunity to share with you an update on our reentry plan. We have placed at your site 2 documents. One, what other districts have done in the Sand Hill region. You have the opportunity to review that information. I'll also share with you, about today, our survey is 9,171 responses. That 51% of the parents has replied that they want to return to in-person learning. So our presentation for you tonight is to address our readiness for in-person learning.
Chairman Lowry, at this time, I would like to just review for you if so we're review the plans that once we start this endeavor, what each plan represents. Next slide, please. So remember, Plan A is minimum social distance where all the students are on campus, least restrictive. Students cannot, social distance, students are required only where individuals may congregate in hallways, reception areas, cafeterias, restrooms, locker rooms, and school facilities are open. All students may be in the school at the same time. That was Plan A. Plan B is moderate social distancing. It's where students will move between face-to-face and online instruction. An example of that would be like AB week, where it's only 50%. It's a more restricted plan. Our school facilities are open, but social distancing is required. And there's a limited density of people in the facilities, no more than 50%. And of course, there's enhanced health protocols. That's Plan B. And of course, Plan C is what we're currently operating under, and that's where all students participate and enroll. So those are the 3 plans. And we provided you this PowerPoint in your packet. So if you have that, we'll go to the next slide, which is the proposed Plan B schedules for Board of Education review. And PSRC students who opted for in-person learning will begin no later than March 1st, 2021. That'd be pre-K through 8th grade on AB weeks, and that will go Monday through Thursday. And Friday will be a remote learning day. And that's 50% each week, 50% of our students. 9th grade through 12th grade will be on an AABB schedule. A will attend school on Monday and Tuesday, and B students will attend on Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday will serve as a remote learning day. So parents will have the opportunity to opt in or opt out. Okay? Dr. Wilson just shared that information with you, over 9,000 responses to the survey. They will continue to analyze that data. And parents and guardians need to remember that once they have made their initial decision, this decision can only be changed one time. If a parent or guardian opts for their students to remain in virtual learning, they must remember that the student is still responsible to report to their school for all state assessments, end of grade, end of course exams. And before we begin, I know there's a lot of questions about teachers having to teach virtual and face-to-face, which for any teacher, even your most seasoned teachers, what we call our top-notch teachers, it's going to be very difficult having to teach face-to-face and virtual. But we have put a lot of strategies in place to help those teachers. We have conducted serious training. Ms. Jennifer's department has purchased swivel glasses to help our teachers as they move around the room. It will just follow them like a camera. And tonight, we've asked two of our expert principals to talk about how their teachers are going to implement this strategy.
Mr. Chair, may I ask him a question while they're coming up?
Yes.
Mr. Robert, I noticed this plan here, and you're probably going to get into it where each school submitted what they're going to do. Okay, I have a question. Just the question is, where they're dealing with, some say, I'm going to take a teacher and let them teach the online kids while the other kids go in for in-person. My concern about that is overloading the in-person teacher to have an online teacher. Will the school get to make that decision, or you guys will intervene to make sure that there's equity in the number of students?
Yes, we've talked with all of our school administrators, and that decision, Dr. Manning, has been left up to the school administrator. And the only concern is we talked about with the EVOS, if they do switch teachers, how that's going to impact the teachers' results at the end of the year.
So
There's still discussion.
So if I'm the online teacher, I could have 5 students and the classroom teacher would have 18. That's my concern. See where I'm coming from?
We would hope that the principals make sure there is equity.
Okay.
Hopefully, these principals can explain that as they come. But we did provide this in your packet.
Yeah, I got that. I read that.
Where we did survey the principals. So, we want site-based management, and the principals are the ones who made the decision. So like Dr. Manning said, it was in your packet. And we want to make sure that, that there is actually 100% equity, because you don't want to overburden one teacher.
That's exactly right.
5 students and next door with 3 students. So that is something we definitely want to make sure that.
I would just ask you to beware of somebody to make sure that our in-person teachers are not being overburdened.
Yes, ma'am.
I know we want all children served, whether you're at home or at school, but that's something I think that we have to monitor.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Emmanuel, also remember, this is 50% capacity
Yes, sir.
and AB week, so the class sizes would be small.
Thank you.
I have one more question, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gentry,
What is,
before you give your
Okay.
question, folks, we're having issues with the microphones that's doing the live broadcast. They are saying they're extremely sensitive, and I know it's picked up some paper stuff, so it is picking up the paper, but I would also ask whoever's speaking, probably speak as loud as I'm trying to speak now to make sure it is picked up. Okay, Mr. Gentry?
I have a question about the phrase one-time change that, on behalf of the parent. Does that mean changing from Plan C, which we're currently under, to another plan? Or do they have an opportunity later to change again?
No, sir, that would be if a parent opts the first time to go virtual, they can actually go face-to-face. That would be
Okay.
their,
So the opportunity to change starts after this goes into motion? Okay.
I guess we can entertain any questions. I think Dr. Locklear asked us to talk about what simultaneous instruction would look like in our buildings. And so my plan is at Pembroke Middle School is that I believe in the power of relationships. And so even though we've been teaching virtually, our teachers have built relationships, not just with students, but with parents. And so what our plan is that it's just like this board meeting. You all can see the board meeting here. Folks that are at home could, if they were in a Google Meet, could actually participate. So our students will bring their computers with them daily. We purchase headphones for every student so that the Google Meet can still occur, Canvas can still occur, assignments can still be posted online. So in the event, if they're there, week A, they're gonna be at home the next week. So we want the instruction that they see, when they're in the building to be the same at home and vice versa. Our parents that elect to, keep their students at home, we understand that they deserve the same high-quality education. So we want it to be simultaneous. Now, how that looks is probably going to vary at each school, but at my school, I think Dr. Locklear talked about the swivels. There are some other cameras there, similar to the ones on these boards that can pick up the noise in the classroom, so the students at home and the students in the classroom can hear what's going on. But most times in my classrooms, and I dare to say 95% of the time, our students are looking at their teacher's screen. So when they're doing math problems, they're hearing their teacher's voice and they're watching the teacher work it out. So we feel like Dr. Locklear said, it's going to be a challenge. It's been a challenge all year, but we want the instruction that kids are getting at home and the students that elect to come to school is going to be the same.
Good evening, everyone. And I piggyback on what he is saying, but also we have been gathering data the whole time through this process because we knew that there was going to be coming a time that the children would be coming back. It can't go on like this forever. So with our data, we were able to determine with the A week and the B week that at this time, no teacher at one time at my particular school would have any more than 9 students at one time. And then when I talk with other principals, their data varies, but nobody is looking at, from what the people that I've talked to in those circles, in elementary circles, of a crowded classrooms, because the AB schedule really does accommodate and help us to social distance and so forth. But yes, we have been preparing for this day, and also the technology. We have done so much with technology, and we have grown as far as with the virtual teaching and so forth. But with the AB schedule, with the elementary schools, while the teacher is doing face-to-face, then the virtual learning would be going on because the swivels and the other technology that we have purchased, it brings the children right into the classroom. So much better than what we have now, with the virtual learning as it goes. It does really help improve that process, and the teachers have already been in training on that, and they know it's coming. And so, we've made tremendous gains when it comes to technology, when it comes to getting the classrooms ready. And it's in our reentry plan and what we were going to do and what kind of learning would be taking place. And our numbers have been changing. I just sent out another Google form because I knew that when they started to take the survey this week, that people are going to start rethinking this whole process, and they're going to want to start changing. So the teachers have been calling me and letting me know I have a parent that wants to change. So we're already doing that because, it is part of the process. And so I just went ahead and sent out another Google form. Let's update this number and stuff because, the numbers are going to dictate what we're doing.
So both of you, your teachers are ready for whatever decision is made tonight as far as teaching kids.
Yes. Yes.
And I'll say this as a principal, we have to adjust everything we do. So I've created a resource schedule, a lunch schedule, a how we come in the building schedule, how we leave schedule. And all of those things are contingent. When we come the very first day, if I see something that doesn't work, we see something that needs refining, we'll definitely do that. But I know the teachers in my building, now they're cautious. I mean, all of us are, but they're willing to do whatever is the leisure of the board.
Ms. Brenda?
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Williams, Dr. Robert, and you all. I want to flip the side of the coin and concentrate mainly on the cleansing, computers and everything. Parents are concerned about it, teachers are concerned about it. So from the time that student get on the bus or from out of their vehicle to school, walk us through the process, what's going to take place.
Okay, yes, all right. So, and I have to give kudos to the central office. They have been, at first we started off with virtually nothing, but now with the thermometers, the hand sanitizers, the Clorox machines, the posters that we have gotten, we have come so far in the last few months, I will have to say that. So when the cars pull up on campus, I already have my monitoring schedule, I have my reentry plan, it's on the school site. I've already done reentry videos to show the parents what it's going to look like. And it would be, and so if you get a chance to see the video, the reentry plan video, please do so. And they're on every school website. But when they come up, there's monitors there. They have the handheld digital thermometers. They don't let the children get out of the car. This is with the car students. They ask the 3 questions, the parents are there, and then if the answer is no, everything is fine, they check the temperature, and then they are allowed to go inside the building. That's their clearance for going inside the building. Okay, and then from there, there's monitors placed every so many feet, and they have to have their face mask on. And now if there's a child that their temperature is too high, the parents right there, and we have to tell them that due to the guidelines, CDC guidelines and stuff, then that child will not be able to attend the lesson, the school entry that day. So that's getting them from the car into the building. And that's all in the entry plans and in the video. From the buses, and the nurses have to be there too. The crisis team has to be there. Every school has a safe room for a child that comes from the bus, because when the children come from the bus, there is no parent. So therefore, the procedure is going to be different. We have the digital thermometers there, and we already have our monitoring plans. Who has this? And we've already talked about that and met with our teams. And then they have to check the thermometer, use the thermometers or to check the students. If there is a child whose temperature is not correct, there are the crisis team people who are assigned for the car, and also at the buses, take them immediately to the safe room. And that's where the process begins with contacting the parents, getting the school nurse in, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
And then as far as cleaning, I have to give kudos to the board too. Every custodian was purchased a backpack cleanser.
Yes.
So we have schedules and logs in each place that they'll be doing in between plannings and after school, make sure those are clean. Since each student has a device, they won't need to share devices. And we purchased, with the help of Title I, we purchased cases and bags they can take back and forth. But the thing to think about, if something happens and we have inclement weather, or there's a situation where a school has to be closed, then we don't have to transition, school can still go on. I think Mr. Bobby sent out an email on Friday to the entire district, told teachers what had to be in every classroom. Dr. Wilson gave us a 134 allotment, and with that money, we were able to purchase PPE equipment in addition to what the district had given us. So I was able to purchase already the hands-free, hand sanitizer machines in every classroom, box tissue, the COVID-19 cleaner, Lysol wipes, so that, we're all gonna have to be a team. It will be nice to say we all have enough custodians to clean the building, but it's gonna be a situation where we work as a family to keep it clean.
Mr. Chairman, follow up.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was speaking to the point of the computer when the child goes to the restroom and come back, the cleansing that I've seen some schools doing.
Absolutely.
Will you all be doing it also?
Absolutely. Those wipes will be in the classroom. Like I said, that hand sanitizer.
That's where I wanted to get.
For entrance.
But there's some people watching that want to know tonight, okay?
Absolutely. And we're going to have to train our kids.
Absolutely.
In schools, we're big protocol and procedure followers. So we train our students how we need them to do things. And so when we get back, we've been out of the building for almost a year, and obviously COVID has changed so much. So we're going to have to show kids exactly, hey, this is what we do when we go to the bathroom.
Absolutely.
This is what we do when we eat lunch, or before lunch, after lunch break.
Totally different. We even have a poster for what times during the day they don't have to wear their mask, like when they're eating, when they go outside on the playground, but they still have the social distance, that kind of thing. So we had to create procedures for everything. And to make it visual and internalize, it has to be posted as well too. And like you're going over your rules and procedures every day, those are things that you have to go over.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Gentry and then Mr. John, then Devontae.
And I know you will not be able to determine this until you actually do it, but how much time do you foresee would be consumed or will be consumed in the check-in process alone in the morning?
That is, I have talked with other people that have gone through it, and that, we haven't, of course, yet. But they said, believe it or not, it went much faster than what you anticipated because of the A week, the B week, and that sort of thing. So they're saying that at first it's going to take a little bit longer, but you will be surprised that it's about going to be like it is during the regular school year. Because once you get those procedures in place and follow it consistently, and then of course the videos, we have the car students coming in, we're showing the parents that, and we did a call out for that. Please go to the website, see our videos. The teachers had to show it during the virtual learning. And so another video that we're going to make, just to make sure that they understand, is face mask, modeling detail, those times that they can have a face mask and the other times, and then teaching that as well to them, to make sure they know and they understand, and the parents, and of course, sending out this call out to the parents and the teachers helping. That it should take away, ease some of the anxiety, but also just set the expectation for what has to take place in order for us to be safe and orderly.
And Ms. Gentry, if I could piggyback, Ms. Marvin, I had a chance to go to Columbus County and visit some schools there. And that, looking at the car riders, you would think that, it would take a long time, but they had 4 monitors and they had 2 lanes coming in at the drop off. And it went by very quickly. I was very impressed. Like Dr. Hathaway said, the first couple of days, it's going to take a little while. Once the students learn the routine, parents learn the routine, you're going to see that expeditiously.
Okay, Mr. Salmon?
What are your plan if, child comes from the bus and gets sick and y'all put them in a safe room and you can't get up with the parents?
Yes, well, that's another good thing too, because we have our school social worker, we have a parent liaison. And so, and I will have to say the school social worker plays such a big, important part. I have even had them to go to the place where the parent works. If it's an emergency situation and a dire situation, I've even called 911 because you got to put a child first. And so the nurse steps in, our social worker steps in, all these people that we utilize, they step in, and they, believe it or not, they do contact parents. On our student information sheets, we have emergency contacts. And if the parent can't come, then the emergency contacts, we have at least 3 emergency contacts and so forth too. But we go to their house, the social workers go to their home, and those different ways those different resources that we utilize, but we do get up with the parents. It's harder to get up with some parents, but it takes longer to get with some parents, but eventually we do.
And we have a team to help with that. Like she said earlier, it's not, everything can't fall on the school nurse. But we have some folks trained on campus and they have the PPE equipment. We're gonna have to, that's gonna happen. I know that's gonna happen. We're gonna have to watch and observe that child until we can make contact with the parent.
So if you can't get up with the parent or the emergency contact and you have to carry them to the hospital, the nurse gonna go with them, or
You have to.
They
Yeah.
never go by themselves to the hospital, never.
so we'll be down the staff.
And EMS, in situations not related to the pandemic, they won't take a child without somebody from the school going.
All right.
Devontae?
Mine is with the teachers, mine is back to virtual versus in-person teaching. If we go back to school, I don't know if this is a question for you or Melissa, if we go back to school, we will have to let teachers that got underlying issues work from home, work virtually. My thing is, what do the model look like if the teacher is working remote and the kids are in the classroom? What do that model look like? how can they teach them?
Well, when the children come back, we have been told you, treat it like you do the regular school day where we utilize the subs and that's so forth, and the necessary people that we have there at school.
All right, well, the subs cannot, access Canvas or anything else, so how is that gonna work?
I have actually run into that problem before too, because after 20-some years as a principal, you're gonna run into every situation. I have even had to pull a teacher assistant in or another person in to assist and help, but also with technology and so forth, you can tap them into another teacher's classroom while another person who's assigned there at that classroom can, it'd be just like virtual learn, but virtual learning from class to class. So I've been thinking about those kind of things because you got to have a plan B because nothing always goes as you want it to go, but you have to have a plan B. And I have had over the course of years, just run into situations like that. We've always utilized, and Ms. Connie even knew one time I even utilized the YDS person because it was an emergency situation and that sort of thing. And somehow we get through it.
And if I could follow up, and also, we have trained, what we call our champion employees. And they are, trained in the technology with the Canvas and the Google Meet and with the swivel, all the different, camera. So any type of technology issues, we have a trained person on that campus that can help that substitute along with the support staff. And then also all of our media specialists have also been trained to assist in whatever capacity. Dr. Baldwin has done a good job getting those individuals trained also. So we do have additional support staff.
I can add, Mr. Leach, too, is that the kids will have access to Canvas and Google Meet though. So even if the sub doesn't, our kids know how to log into Canvas, assignments are there. The days of emergency lesson plans don't have to happen anymore because the modules are already up. So Canvas is never going away. I mean, it's
And digital learning will never go away.
Okay, Mr. Vontae's got to follow up, and then, folks, I'm gonna jump in because something's on my mind. If I don't say it, I'll.
Okay, yes, before the pandemic, we've been having trouble with subs and stuff, and a lot of subs is not coming back to school and everything like that. So what is your plan? What is your plan? I heard a lot of subs not coming. I had a school that's in the south end of this county that they can't get subs. They've been trying, been trying for the whole time, and they haven't found a sub yet.
I mean,
that's a good question. I'll say this, Ms. Thompson asked principals back in, again, October or November to reach out, and every school has a core group of subs. I know my subs that I can depend on. I know where I can put them in the most difficult classrooms. But in situations as a principal, I have to react every day. So if there's a situation where I have to pull someone to make sure kids are lives and safety's first, and that's what I have to do, even if that means Mr. Barton has to go down and be a
That's
teacher one day.
right. Yeah, you don't leave children alone, but they will come with their technology and so forth. We have to tap into another classroom or whatever, we will. But yeah, we would never leave children alone.
if I could, Mr. Vontae, might be adding to that, and you folks help me. We haven't been having subs, period. That was not being allowed, period, because of Canvas and the Google, so they were not allowed. Now, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, if we go back, subs would be allowed in the classroom if we have teachers that's at home working remotely for whatever reason. That sub in the classroom still cannot do Canvas or any of that. The teacher at home remotely would be working remotely with kids who are at home and would be tied into kids who are in the classroom. That's one reason my understanding is that computers would be brought back and forth to school. That teacher would have access. The sub that's in the room would be more or less monitoring and making sure kids are doing what is supposed to be going on in the classroom. And if there is other work that the sub can be doing minus the electronic part, they could be working with that. That's my understanding. Am I understand that correctly? Okay.
It was a lot before the pandemic.
Right.
Teachers, the sub was there to monitor, help with assignments. They can still help a kid with an assignment just because it's on Canvas versus.
Okay. Now let me follow up with this before I forget it. Now, Ms. Hathaway, who's elementary, and Dr. Hathaway, I'm sorry, and Mr. Barton is middle school. Now, you said in your situation, you didn't foresee having overcrowding with teachers actually on campus, Ms. Hathaway at elementary. Mr. Barton, in your case with middle school, your school, and if you've heard other middle schools, what are you hearing about numbers, or what are you looking at? Because you have a larger middle school. What are you looking at with numbers actually in the classroom?
Right. Very similar to what Dr. Wilson just said earlier with small class sizes. I have 746 students. The regional survey said 150 students will remain remote. That was the very first one. I get calls every day with parents changing their mind. So yeah, it leaves about 400 students that I actually talked with Dwayne at transportation last week, and he said, Mr. Barton, it looks really, really even from, A through K and L through Z. So I've told my teachers I have 7 teams. It looks like each team usually has about 110 kids on a normal day. It looks like I may have about 50 kids per week on a team. So if you divide that by 4 teachers, I could have 6 or 7, maybe 8 kids. I've told my teachers to plan for 10 kids in a classroom.
Okay. All right, seeing some hands now.
Melissa had her hand up too. Do you have any?
Melissa?
Mr. Barton actually talked about the emergency lesson plans, and the teachers would be prepared. They would have activities already on Canvas and whatever, so.
Let's take this side and then we'll go over. Mr. Henry?
If you have a situation where you check a student in, temperature is okay, everything checks out, 11 o'clock, that child goes to complaining, running fever. Same way with a bus driver in the middle of the day. What is our plans to handle those? And how are we going to treat the rest of the students in the class that may have had exposure?
On that.
Yes.
Okay. In the event, that scenario is discussed in, one of our protocol books. In the event that a staff person or student becomes symptomatic during the school day, same protocol would take place. That child would be immediately, taken down to the safe room / isolation room. That child would be assessed. We would notify the parents. As Dr. Hathaway and Mr. Barton stated, we would exhaust that list. The child would be assessed. If the parent should come, take the child with them. And before that child can return back to the school setting, they have to be evaluated by healthcare professionals. And we have to have a note before they can return to that campus. That's a staff person or student, because we are now looking at what we call a potential COVID case. As I spoke with Ms. Beth Rao today, with our school site, which is set up maintaining the 6 feet social distancing, as long as we're maintaining those 3 Ws and those 6 feet barriers, there should be no identified close contacts. That child would be escorted off campus, and the other students and the staff can remain and continue with instruction.
So you think the remaining 10 students, we're going to pass them?
They would, based on the guidelines with the 6 feet, 15 minutes, if that was breached at any given moment with a symptomatic student, and that's where she says your seating charts is critical, the teacher in that classroom is critical. Because with transition, eating and all of that, of course, probably temporarily, those students would have to be moved out to clean, wipe down the area and reintroduce the students back into the classroom setting. And I think there is a 10-minute time frame from the moment that a chemical is utilized in the classroom before you can reintroduce someone back in. But that's our current guideline for that, if a person becomes symptomatic throughout the day.
Yeah, and I have to also say that at the schools, like with, in fact, the superintendent was out at the school the other day, and I showed my, when we went to the classrooms, the desks are already set up 6 feet apart. There's no desks together, and we're utilizing the space, as much of that classroom as we can, to keep the children apart. There's going to be no small group interaction. And what saves us there is that 15-minute interval. They're not going to be together for 15 minutes in group settings.
Oh.
And Mr. Brewer, when Ms. Locklear do her presentation, she's going to explain what will lead us to close a classroom or wing
Okay.
or building.
Okay, I guess that's what I was looking for that answer.
Okay, Ms. Terry, do you have your?
Do you think, would it be better if we just hold off until the presentation's finished?
They finished.
If you have a question,
Well, I was just thinking about everything that we're discussing. There's a lot of moving parts. If we look at this silo, you say buses over here, restroom breaks here, if we look at this in different silos, it looks it looks good. This piece looks good, this piece looks good. But when we put it all together, that's when it starts to jumble up in my mind, and see potential problems, because, what we're talking about is kind of best case scenario, in all of these situations. And, I mean, in your roles, that there's going to be monkey wrenches, thrown in every situation. And I'm thinking about, at this particular point in the academic year, what's the real educational advantage, of what we're trying to do? Because really what you're looking at, if we do a A-B schedule, right? Your teachers are going to be working with 3 different groups, if you think about it, because they're going to have a group, a B group, and then an online group. So, at this point in the year, already, just getting our feet, in the online situation. And I'm also thinking about for those that choose to go face-to-face, really, we've only got X number of days left, right? So you cut that in half, and then when you calculate in restroom breaks and water breaks and mask breaks and those things that's going to happen, in the middle, during the day. The real advantage of being face-to-face is that socialization piece. I think that we're kind of nostalgic about what school was, before the pandemic. And I don't think that even if when we choose to go back, it's not going to be that way, because we're going to have all these social distancing. And I mean, the kids are going to have to eat lunch in their, in their classrooms, right? So I'm just really thinking about what the academic advantage is for the children, versus just leaving it alone and we are right now. And for those students that rotate classes, typically, are they going to be rotating classes the same way when we go back, or?
So I can answer that question for the middle school. So the group of students are going to have to stay together. So some principals have elected for those students to stay in the same classroom all day and the teachers rotate in. At Pembroke Middle School, we're on teams, so the same group of kids will just move to the next class with the different teachers. So at least they're in a different room, and teachers won't have to cohabitate each other's space. But if I have Dr. Hathaway in first period, I'm gonna have her in second period, third period, fourth period, and fifth period. Just end up being, like Mr. Brewer was just saying, of an exposure. I'm not concerned with a whole team. I'm concerned with those 7 or 8 kids that are in class.
Right.
And with the elementary, we move staff, but we do not move the children. And even the resource teacher rotates in.
Do we think we'll have a different set of challenges at a K-8 school? What do we anticipate, that would look like versus just the elementary and just a middle?
The challenges will be the same, and again, for me, the key is the number of students in the class gonna make a difference for the exposure. But the challenges are gonna be, how do we feed kids, when do we move bathrooms? Challenges will be the same.
okay. Dr. Emanuel had her arm up.
Yeah, my arm's tired, but I want.
So I had to get you real quick.
I encourage everybody, you can vote for whatever you want to tonight, ever how your conscience leads you. But if you read this Senate bill, and it talks about the mental health of children, and I'll just read that. And also, this goes back to what Henry was saying. And I know the superintendent mentioned that, somebody just mentioned it. Number 3 on page 2 of this Senate bill, it talks about that the school board can close a classroom per the superintendent. They can go back to instruction.
That's correct.
If one room is contaminated. So I think we're reading too much into if there's a problem. If there's a problem, they've given you a solution here to work that problem out. And if you read the whole bill, the whole Senate bill here, it tells you, and I'm not saying, you can vote how you want to vote, but I'm more or less concerned with giving that kid the social exposure it talks about the mental health visit and the mental health of the children, and I understand what Mr. Terry said, because I'm curriculum through and through. But I have some real concerns. If you read this whole entire thing here, especially dealing with the mental health of children, they don't get to go but 30 days, I think it's well worth the effort. That's my opinion. And also, if you can, instances where things pop up with like contamination, it addresses what we can do with it right here. There's a solution right there. Go back to in person, that one class or that one school or whatever. It gives the superintendent an option to recommend to the board. So I think we're maybe bringing issues in that there's already a solution here, in my opinion, that we can do. I do want to, since I got to speak, I do want to ask a question. Maybe I'm missing something. You talked about having the substitute in while the teacher's at home. Explain to me, what's the criteria for the teacher being at home as opposed to being in the classroom? That's what I just want to hear.
Me to respond to that? So it would be just as it is now. If a teacher qualifies to do telework from home,
What does that mean, though?
that would be the virtual learning.
I understand it, but what are you said about qualified?
Criteria. What qualifies them to be?
Yeah, what would qualify me to teach at home?
Qualifies them to be
In
virtual.
other words, she's teaching in the classroom, I'm at home, we're in the 5th grade. How could I get to be at home teaching this?
Okay, well, there are two ways. If you meet the guidelines under the FFCRA, which is the one that supposedly ended December 31st and was extended through March 31st, if you meet those guidelines. And then the other way is the vulnerable population by the CDC, which is the page 10 on your, in your toolkit, Strong Schools. So there will be an application that we'll talk about, and that will be at the school. The teacher will request that from the principal. And that will have to be signed off by a physician and then submitted to Human Resources. So if a physician verifies that you do qualify under the vulnerable population list, or if a physician doesn't have to tell us about the FFCRA part, if you qualify under FFCRA, then yes, and you are in a position such as a teacher where you can telework, then you will be granted that benefit.
Okay, so I guess there's a process for deciding who can telework.
There is an application for the vulnerable population, and then for the FFCRA, then they would tell us how they meet those qualifications.
Thank you, that clears that up.
Let's share the document that we
Yes.
do.
I do have the application, sir. Okay, I have you pass those on.
And Mr. Chairman, Dr. Williamson, if I may,
Sure. This is the actual application.
No.
thank you.
I got right there next one.
I need my 15 minutes.
15 minutes of fame. After she finishes, Mr. Dwayne.
And so on that first page, it lists the qualifications. And then the second page is where the principal will actually sign off stating that he or she acknowledges this request. We're not approving or denying, but we do want the principal to know that Ms. Thompson may be eligible for telework, so that he or she can also help to prepare for that situation. So the principal signs off stating that they're knowledgeable of the situation. Then they take it to the physician, and the physician verifies. And then lastly, it's submitted to Human Resources. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if I'm a teacher, you're my principal, I come to you. You have to sign off on it, right? A principal cannot not sign off on this paper.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They are not denying or approving. It is simply, I acknowledge that Melissa Thompson is requesting telework.
And then that comes to you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Melissa, how many do we currently have on file now? Do you know?
We don't. Right now, we're at a standpoint where everyone had the option to telework. Teachers and teacher assistants had that option.
I mean, previously, we had some that did apply from last year.
This is new, though. This would be if it gets approved tonight.
Okay,
This would
okay.
start for teachers to return based on what happens tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Wayne?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I've been on the board 11 years. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, it's gonna be the hardest decision we have to make tonight. It's just the bottom line. It's not gonna set good with people. It is gonna set good with people. So that old saying, there's not gonna be a winner, but there's not gonna be all losers either. So, my question is there gonna be an outline every school, like principals, to give to their teachers as far as them communicating on, because elementary, middle, high school is going to be different. So is there going to be an outline put out by the principals to the teachers to set in place the who's, what, whys, whens, and wheres? Is that
That's
The
the
reentry,
reentry
that's the
plan.
reentry plan.
right? So teachers, they're going to have the outline on what's being set
They
up.
have it.
Okay, so they have it now.
They have it we were required to do that
And it's
back in
on,
December,
it's on the
I think.
website.
Right. Okay, and the teachers that were coming back, I know there was probably a poll taken on the percentage of teachers that, I guess if you want to say that, wanted to come back or whatever, I'm assuming was,
Let's see, there was a poll, now, I have not, there was a poll given where they asked, would the teacher be coming back and stuff? I had no one to say, no, they would not. And I can only speak for my school.
I had a teacher that had a medical issue with a child. He was the only one that couldn't. And to go back to your question there, most of the principals I know are very detail-oriented people. So
Right.
even on top of the re-entry plan, we have schedules for schedules. So everything that I want done in the building, I'm gonna show you how I want it done.
Yeah.
And lay that out. And I was saying earlier, I just kind of said it with the contingency. Look, y'all, we might have to fine tune this just a little bit because everything in here makes sense. But when I see it, when we all see it, hey, Mr. Burton, we need to refine that.
and I guess what I'm getting to is right here, my phone's blowing up, and I'm gonna let it blow up because I'm trying to talk fast and get my other 10 minutes in. There was no survey that was sent by a teacher just now. So my thing is, the most important, the common core to all this right here is the teachers to me. Because if you don't have the teachers, you're not gonna have the kids. So I just want to make sure that if there's any kind of communication gap with principals and teachers, because we have to make sure that they are completely secure and they're comfortable with wanting to come back right here. And I know it's a delicate situation. I think it was Dr. Emmanuel a while ago that also said, and here it is again, we're struggling and trying to get back, but at the same time, we've got, I know for a fact that we have kids that pretty much have gone home and that have stayed in their rooms. And they're going through severe. I mean, it would actually blow people's minds. And I think that when school, whatever we decide to do when they come back, I am not a teacher to try to tell a teacher what to do, but it would probably be nice the first day or two to it's almost like restarting a relationship back. And I hope it's just not, I know they've got to be there to learn, but it's almost like it's got to be there to have that comfort, and try to build a relationship with their children again. I think that's the most important part before they get into learning right there. So just, it's going to be a tough decision. Whatever decision we make tonight is not going to be the right decision. I just know that I'm going to be here and I'm going to support the schools, the teachers, the faculty in any way I can. It's just going to be a difficult decision, but at the same time, we can't stay at home forever. I know some teachers, and I'm just saying in general, let's just say people in general. Oh, I'm staying home, I'm staying home. Go to Walmart and Lowe's. No, they ain't. As we say in the South, they everywhere. You know, they're still gonna take they're still taking vacations, they're still doing this, they're still doing that. So, but I think this is a little different though, when you're in a class and you're in there with so many kids, it might be a little different from being out in Lowe's or in Walmart or whatever, but we've got to start somewhere. One more thing, and I'm gonna quit talking, is there was a suggestion, that was made today, that the way that I had heard some people talk, they asked me if the board has talked about this right here as far as, and I'm just saying, have you thought maybe going K through 3, K through 4 to start with for like 2 weeks? And then bringing in the 5th through the 8th, 2 weeks, and then bringing in 9th through the 12th, 2 weeks. So, I was just asking that question because it was a question that was asked to me today. Would I present that tonight too? And it's no disrespect to our A, B, or C policy. So, we've got to start somewhere. So I'm going to support whatever, we feel like which way we need to go tonight. Thank you, Mr. Lowry.
All?
Yes, sir. Till next time.
Next time. Mr. Henry, I seen yours next.
I was next.
Well, I'm sorry. Ms. Brenda, I'll get you right after Mr. Henry. Go ahead, Mr. Henry.
Governor Cooper made a decision based on a study from NFHS and Duke University. And at the time, I understand that study was done by the first round of COVID. We are experiencing 2 new streams. We're not even sure if we have a vaccination available that would handle those. And I contracted COVID in December. I did not run fever. My fear is a student goes to school, doesn't run fever, but's contracted COVID. Now we've set not only our kids in jeopardy, but all of our staff. I haven't talked to a teacher yet that doesn't want to see their kids face to face. I think we're all in agreement to that. But we did not take initiative to push the governor to prioritize our teachers and staff to get an option to get the vaccination before we put them out in the battlefield. To me, I feel like we're giving them a gun, but we're not giving them the ammunition. We're giving them all the tools. All of this sounds great. But I know from experience, the way I was taught to start with, you run temperature, you lose your taste, you lose your smell. I didn't lose taste nor smell nor ran temperature. But I ended up in the hospital 2 times. Ended up on steroids to get rid of it. I'm experienced. And I'm telling you, we're taking a great gamble at what we're doing. It's like Mr. Dwayne mentioned, we're not going to win, but I'm going to stick to safety. I'll just be frank with the board tonight. I just can't vote to bring teachers and kids back face to face for those reasons, because we have 2 monsters out there that's lurking right now, 2 streams that they know very little about and they're trying to learn. And that's what we've got to deal with. Now, we're looking at 2.5 to 3 months of school, and we're out for the summer. You got end of grade testing. How much time are we talking about all this discussion? How much time are we going to give our students? At the most, you're looking at 2.5 months, which is, 20 days out of 2 months? And is the gamble going to be good enough that we going to make everybody sick for the summer months to get prepared to come back in August? Is it worth the gamble? That's another option I'd just like for everyone to think about as a whole. Because whatever decision we make here tonight as a group, it's going to affect 24,000 students roughly, not counting the teachers and all the staff, custodians, maintenance, everybody. Because when we bring more people in and we still got maintenance going on, we're exposing them to more population. But I know, I talked with the superintendent, and I think I can see where If we ask how many students wants to come back face to face, say 50% is out there that says we're not going to come back face to face. Well, when you separate that 50% and with an A-B plan, you're talking 25% on school at one time, but you're still given that opportunity to bring that ugly ghost back. I'm through.
Mr. Brandon.
Mr. Chairman, you've been now 25 years on the board. I know what governor's orders are and the Senate bill. I know the importance of us trying to correspond with what they say. My concern is we do have staff. We got to be concerned about staff and their concerns of mental state also for going back. The other thing is, don't pop my phone because I'm not looking at it. The other thing is childcare. Y'all know I'm a grandmother. I'm not a grandma. I babysit because I desire to, but right now because daycares are not taking children in, I'm having to babysit my own granddaughter. We have staff that currently takes their children to school with them sometime. Would they still be able to do that, Dr. Williamson? And
Yes.
because that's some of their concerns also that I receive emails about, the child care issue.
It is our intent that every school would provide a child care room for staff members.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Gentry.
I was thinking along the lines that Henry just voiced a few minutes ago about the vaccination of our teachers, our staff. And my thinking is unconscionable to require teachers to come back to work and they have not been vaccinated. And there was not the forethought given to this piece of the puzzle, which is a tremendous piece. And to me, it's unconscionable to expect our staff to come back to school and work, and they haven't been vaccinated. And then you put along with that the other parts, for example, what Ms. Thompson was just talking about the staff being screened for being the exception in terms of being able to continue virtual based on their health conditions and so forth. We're talking about a long amount of time to get these essential pieces completed to start school back. And by the time that's done, if we do it ethically and morally, it's going to go beyond, realistically, it's going to go beyond March the 1st, well beyond March 1st if we do it like it's supposed to be done.
And John, then Mr. Dwayne.
I don't know if Dr. Hunt or Mr. Barry or Ms. Lissa, if, say, we was to go back to school and the teacher was approved for this here to teach virtual at home, who's going to pay for the sub that's in the classroom?
We will. And Ms. Erica, do you want to speak about the way that works anyway?
That normally happens minus COVID. We have teachers who use their annual leave or sick leave for whatever reason in regular FMLA, and they get a check and we pay the sub. So that happens routinely, which is partly why substitute costs are so high in our district. And fortunately, because of COVID this year, we have minimal sub costs so far, very small. Comparatively, we were spending, say, $350,000 to $400,000 a month in sub costs. We're nowhere near, maybe $300 a month. So we have the funds available to continue to pay a sub and a teacher.
Mr. Wayne.
Okay, of course, I think everybody's phone's doing a little bit like mine. Just got a text here that they're saying that teachers won't be able to get vaccines not until after April. So, and like I said, I don't know, there's not going to be a right answer to this. My main concern, and this might sound a little crazy, is not even learning right now. My main objective more than anything is the child being depressed and some issues that are going on with the children right now to try to, get out of that room. You know, you have kids right now that are AB kids. And ever since this has happened right here, these kids have either told their parents they weren't going to go back to school, not until they went back to school, or these kids went from AB kids to DF kids. So, like I said, there's not a right answer. I'm just laying out both sides of it. So there's not really, but then my thing too is how long do we continue to do this right here compared to, I want to say, is it Brunswick County? Ms. Thompson or Dr. Robert? How has some of the counties been that has opened up? Do y'all know of any counties close by or anything? I'm just asking.
It's in our packet. We got a sheet on this county.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I'm just for the audience or whatever, if you know what I'm.
They're a smaller county.
I do know, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Dwayne, I do know one of the counties that three of the counties that I went to, the community stepped in, some of them started daycares to start trying to help the teachers. We've looked for areas in our county, for an example, several parents, we were not able to afford a facility that we saw that we could, but you got to go through the license and everything and all this and that. We know we're up against a lot, and the county that I did go to, Dwayne, they made it work through the community.
I'm sorry,
Columbus County.
would you come up? I mean, I'm doing it for the
That's one of the,
audience out there.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
school-
I knew what that.
that's one of the counties.
I was trying to.
Yeah, the schools that Mr. Bobby and I, and along with Dr. Cummins and Dr. Carl, we visited, they were face-to-face from the beginning of the year. And of course, the parents did have the option of virtual, and they have very few to go virtual, and minimal cases.
Were those close by counties, if you don't mind me asking?
Columbus.
Okay, Columbus County. Okay, was there any other county that was
That's
just?
the only one that we visited,
Right, okay.
that I and the team visited.
Okay, what
Scotland
was
had-
their schedule, if you don't mind me asking? Did you know what their schedule was as far
Yeah,
as,
they
was
were
there like
on
an 8?
plan, they were on plan A.
They were plan A?
We have placed at the site a document for the Sand Hill region that
Right.
every school district has done.
Yeah. And the main reason that I was doing that right there, so the audience out there could kind of, because we've got everything in front of us, but they don't know what we have, if you know what I'm saying right here. So that's why that question.
Let me ask if we could, we've got Robert, I think, was the first one up here. Got about 7 or 8 more people that's supposed to speak. So I know there's questions, but if we go ahead and get
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Hathaway, Dr. Hathaway,
Dr. Hathaway.
before you go, one of the things that some of our pre-K teachers talked about to me throughout this duration we've been going through, because their child was not permitted to stay in their classroom where they could teach. How are you all addressing that?
You're talking about for the pre-K program?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, now, the pre-K guidelines are going to be just like the children come back with their face masks and so forth on. And the pre-K guidelines are going to be similar, just like what the other guidelines are.
I mean, if a staff has a child, that child cannot stay in there.
Yeah, if they have a child, I'm sorry, I thought, okay. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Okay. In the reentry plan, we already have a schedule made. Remember I told you with the, we don't move the children, we move the staff. So because nobody is going to our media center, then that we have several teachers that have children and that there are issues with daycare. Their children go to our media center, which is huge, with their devices. And I already have a schedule where our staff will rotate, there will be somebody rotating in. And I told the teachers or teacher assistants, whoever sends their child in there, that their child has to come in with their schedule. Their schedule has to be on their desk. So when the monitor comes in, because there's going to be different monitors coming in, different times of the day, they will change up, because we're using teacher assistants, classified people.
And that's good, Ms. Hathaway. And Dr. Williamson, you said we had it set up at all the schools, correct?
That's our intent, and we do.
Now, what about the high schools?
Thank you.
Thank you.
The high school,
I would
I
have
don't
to
know.
check, I'm not sure about the high school, to be honest.
Okay. I'm
I'll
sorry.
get you an answer.
Before we go, Craig, can we,
You have a question?
I got a statement.
Go ahead.
And it kind of piggybacks on what you just said. Terry brought up a while ago, do we want to ask questions now, ask them later? I prefer that we ask them later. We've got child nutrition, transportation, health service, and human resources, and what Bobby's fixing to say. I think we need to take it all in, digest it, and then make a recommendation based on, after that, I want to hear what the superintendent's got to say.
Right.
As far as his recommendation, and then I'll be ready to raise my hand up or down either way, but in the meantime, I'd like to take about a 10-minute break if we could.
Okay. Mr. Mike, with the number of questions handled then, I agree with that. If you will, let's just take a 5-minute break and come back. And if you have a question that comes up, folks, just jot it down and we'll come back and get an answer. Could I get a motion that we have a 5-minute break? And it's going to be real quick.
Second.
Gentry, Mr. Monte, all those in favor? Aye. Take a break real quick and we'll come right back. Bobby? Mr. Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, just been discussing the situation right here. And I'm assuming we can listen to Mr. Bobby, but as soon as we get done listening to Mr. Bobby, I would like to hear what the superintendent's recommendation is for this right here. Because like I said, we can be here all night long. And, you know, we've got to do something. There's not going to be no right answer no matter what we do. So I would love to hear the input from the superintendent, what his recommendation is. And I think we just need to pray and move forward with our decision that we make tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
First time in my life, I agree with Mr. Wayne. Second time in my life.
Get it right now, work with me.
That there's no right answer, no wrong answer. I think all sides are right, whichever you vote. But I do believe, and I have faith in the schools, and you had two examples tonight. They know what they're doing. I do know, per our chair, that the schools have done diligent cleaning, and they have plans to do diligent cleaning. So we can, as Mr. Dwayne said, we can listen all night. But I think, in my opinion, we've had enough information that we as board members can make a decision to trust our leaders as to what to do. I mean, they are prepared. They've done what they can do. And reading and listening to everybody, all school systems, and that's where my time goes into research and studying. Our system is, they're doing a super job getting prepared for this reentry. And I agree with Mr. Dwayne to see where our superintendent stands, and let's vote.
Okay, you want to go now?
You can do it now.
Okay, Dr. Williamson?
No disrespect, Mr. Bobby.
I do hope that from the package of information that we work hard to make sure that we're disinfecting the buildings, protocols are in place. So under Plan B, hybrid model, for those parent students who are returning for in-person learning, I'd like to make a recommendation that for pre-K through 8th grade, that we operate on an AB week, that is Monday through Thursday, with Friday being a remote learning day for all. So again, for pre-K through 8th grade, AB week to begin no later than March 1. That's the recommendation of the family member.
Let me ask this question. So, I heard what you said. So what about high school? I mean, what, I don't hear any.
There'll be a second motion.
Okay, okay. I want to hear the whole total.
Okay, for 9th grade through 12, recommendation is that they operate on an AABB week, Monday, group A, attend on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday will be a virtual learning remote day for all, and the B group attend on Thursday and Friday. So again, for 9-12, operate on an AABB week, group A, attend on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, virtual remote learning day, and then group B on Thursday and Friday. Also to begin no later than March 1. And the option for parents to remain remote if they choose to do so, which we have to provide by law.
And, Mr. Chairman,
Okay. Ms. Brenda?
Dr. Williamson, and with that being stated, in the event that should we have to close back down by then, you will bring that forth, correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You did, I was writing down, you did say parents or students will still be, they can go or not come to school, right?
That's correct. We still will provide remote virtual learning opportunities.
Based on what Dr. Robert said, if whatever happens, they can change their mind one time.
That's correct. They opt in or out once.
If I can, I'm gonna try to reiterate all that real quick, and then if I have a question, we will. If we go pre-K through 8, and they're going on weeks, So you're gonna have a group that will come Monday through Thursday, and then they would have remote learning, everybody through that 8th grade on Friday. There will be a new group that would come the next week, Monday through Thursday, and then that week, everybody would be remote that Friday. That's the pre-K through 8th.
That's correct.
The option for virtual learning is still there for any of those students that would like to do it, if this is approved. And they have the option of changing their mind one time. Okay? The high school will be 9 through 12, and they will do a certain group on Monday and Tuesday. That's gonna be a group, if it's the A group. And then, Thursday and Friday would be the B group. Their remote day is that Wednesday, which will be cleaning, and that's for the high school level.
Yes,
Okay? And the virtual learning is there for high schools also.
yes.
Okay? Did I leave something out, Mr.?
Everything you said was contingent March 1st.
That's correct.
That's students and teachers.
Well, we're going to ask that teachers, you approve teachers to return on the 16th,
Teachers on the 16th.
on the 16th,
Which is next Tuesday.
next Tuesday. That was our original
That was the original.
date that we used in January. Reason for that, again, is if you approve these options, that gives teachers 2 weeks to be in the building before students.
Okay? Mr. Randy, I saw his hand.
Dr. Williamson, I had a couple questions, text and emails. Career Center, what is set up for them?
Same option, they're secondary, so they will operate on AAB day with Wednesday being remote learning day.
Okay, and early college is
High school.
High school, part of the early college students that are taking the college courses
right.
have been in session all along.
Right.
So they will also operate on the AABB.
Okay, my last one, EC, like contained classrooms. Are they gonna be set up also as for, I'm saying the K-8? They'll be,
Yes, they will operate on the AB week, and secondary EC students will operate on the AABB day. Now, if Senate Bill 37 passed, it says that any student that has an IEP or 504, that we must move those students to option A, which is 5 days a week. But that's only if Senate Bill 37 passes.
Right.
okay. I just wanted to put it out there for everybody.
So, okay, let me get Mr. Dwayne, then Mr. Henry.
I'm good.
Good. If you want to get Mr. Henry first, and then I'll,
Okay.
my last
Henry?
question.
I just wanted to make a comment. When we're looking at a family of 4 kids, different grade levels, to do away with the hardship, I guess we're looking at the fact that they can make their kids virtual, total virtual. Am I right?
Yes. And we've done the work, Dr. Guzman, that we're trying to match up families as much as possible, secondary and elementary, that we can have them in schools at the same time. So we've done that.
Dwayne?
And this will, Dr. Williamson, this will be regular school days from 8 to 3.
Yes.
I'm assuming, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes. We had a discussion if we needed to modify today, but because of the check-in, temperature checks, breakfast, and most of the sign-on time for online is around 8:30, 9 at the latest, we decided not to make a recommendation to change the schedule.
Chairman,
And my,
Melissa, the 16th, does that give you enough time to get your responses back or whatever? I'm just saying if it happens.
Right, and, so I guess the dilemma is gonna be with doctor's notes and how quickly they can get that. But we will definitely work with our employees,
Okay.
through this situation. And we will depend on the principals as well to help us through this, task.
Okay, thank you.
But yes, we've been talking with teachers. We did do the survey of teachers and we asked, upon, face-to-face learning, do you plan to return? And overall, most employees said yes.
Right.
I know some people may have changed their mind one way or the other. So we'll have to face that and we will have to get it done. Yes, sir. I think we can do it.
Okay, Mr. Gentry, then Mr. Dwayne, then Mr. Fontaine.
Is there a process in place to get those teachers vaccinated who want it and need it beforehand?
I don't think so. That's up to the, yeah, that's beyond our control.
65 or over, yeah.
And some doctor offices, Mr. Chairman, some doctor offices are actually vaccinating individuals if they're not 65 or older. So they need to check with their medical practitioner. St. Paul's will be doing something also.
And the superintendents have taken that to Governor Cooper as a suggestion.
That's correct. There's a letter at your site from Jack Hope, the Executive Director of the School Superintendent Association, addressed to Governor Cooper, making that request that in Group 3, we could accelerate educators for the shot. The request has been made.
Mr. Dwayne?
Like I said tonight, there's not going to be a right or wrong answer in this situation right here. But I feel like we have to start somewhere. And once I'm done saying this, and if there's any more questions, but I would like to make a recommendation to accept Dr. Williamson's Plan B plan.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dwayne to accept it. Have a second by Mr. Mike Smith to accept the plan of.
Set aside policy.
Okay, we need to set aside policy
I'd like to
first.
preface that by saying everything we doing is still fluid. We understand if we have an epidemic or pandemic or something, superintendent can call a special meeting and say, we got hotspots in Parkton or Orem or wherever. This is still, everything's still fluid. Like Dwayne said, we got to start somewhere. Now it's a good night to start.
I'm sorry, to set aside policy.
Motion by Mr. Dwayne to set aside policy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mike Smith. All those in favor of setting aside policy at this time, please let it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I'd like to make the motion to accept Plan B that was offered by Dr. Williamson.
A motion by Mr. Smith to accept the plan and a second by Mr. Mike Smith. We need to raise hands. We'll vote and see. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Got to get to raise
Okay.
hands.
2 hands. All those in favor, please raise your hands.
Pursuant to the governor's orders, what's the Senate bill is saying?
Okay. We have 6 in favor
Recommendation, rather.
of the recommendation. All those opposed to the recommendation, raise your hand. We have 4 opposed, so that means the recommendation does pass. Now, that is dealing with Mr. Grady opening the schools. Do we also need it with the teachers? Does that include that? We put a.
That
That included everything? Okay. So Dr. Williamson, again, teachers would report again next Tuesday,
That's correct.
and schools would open March the 1st.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that include those teachers with those medical issues also?
Say that again, Ms. Brenda. Say that again.
I asked, was it including those teachers? If it was including those teachers with the medical issues also? And he said yes.
Yes, we're asking them to return to work and then go through the process that we can consider to grant telework.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Dr. Williamson?
Got one more.
Monte?
Do we even have enough bus drivers driving buses?
Yes, we're challenged with bus drivers. Dr. Guzman, you want to speak to that, please?
Yes, sir, I will. Contained at your seats this today when you came to your meeting is a sheet that I provided you all to the board that has a breakdown of the amount of drivers that are in certain locations, meaning via school sites. It's broken down via drivers on buses as well as what the principals have reported as far as staffing. There are concerns at schools. There are 3 schools particular that do not have any drivers. However, if you look at the clearinghouse, that was through our drug testing policy. Those are the amount of drivers that are available on those campuses with CDLs, which would mean through HR, there would have to be some redirection in order to have some people be reassigned their duties from others, meaning dual employed, to be able to cover those bus routes. However, we do not have enough drivers at some places just to solely drive a bus. That's why I also on that list gave you, for your informational purposes, the amount of dual employees that were reported with buses.
We had a conversation that late buses would not exceed 25, 30 minutes.
Based on those routes that we're doing, that yes, we would not have an exorbitant amount of, like, an hour wait for another bus or anything. We've actually been, in some places, been able to cut buses. And based on what potentially could be the ridership, it could be actually cut down in even more than 15 to 20 minutes.
Based on our survey, 24% of parents who said, yes, I want to opt for in-person learning would need bus transportation. So that number is low.
Mr. Vontae?
Oh, I had a follow-up for Dr. Guzman. I understand that you said they get to school 25 to 30 minutes late. What about going home? When we have younger kids, what about going home? Will they get home later? What time will they get home? Or what time will a certain group have to be there earlier at the bus stop? I mean, what's all of that look like?
Correct. There will be delays in that. To be honest with you, for us to be able to establish routes is going to be near impossible. We have established routes from the schools with the A/B that we have done with previous transportation surveys for grades K through 8. High school, unfortunately, we were going to have to use last year's routes in order to be able to make sure that the bus would run. Of course, we're going to have to adapt. As that surveys come out, we're going to have to work with the schools and go ahead and correlate and make changes, as well as, since parents have the option to be able to change one time, that is going to take us some time to go ahead. It's going to be, like I've said before, since October and November, transportation is definitely going to look different. However, we're asking for patience and understanding as we try to make these accommodations. It's not that easy to roll out exact times, but we do have estimates, but there are going to be some hiccups as we go through it and as changes are being made.
The survey will end tomorrow on the 10th. That will give us 2.5 weeks to get that information in the buildings. The routes will be in place.
Tanner?
Oh,
You get Ms. Tanner, yeah, Ms. Brown.
Dr. Williamson, will the principals be ready tomorrow to post on their website the reentry plan so that everyone can get a chance to start on that tomorrow?
Yes, in fact, they're already posted.
Ready?
Okay.
Ms. Brenda?
And Dr. Williamson, going back to Townsend, you went there already. Because we don't have the adequate space, what are you all doing concerning that?
Well, again, we're going to depend on 25% of the 50%.
So just wait on that.
That's right, to manage that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. John, and then Mr. Wayne.
As far as the bus drivers, you said that some of the teachers are gonna have to do dual roles. Suppose they decide they don't wanna drive the bus, then where's that gonna put us?
Yeah, I don't think we have a lot of teachers who are going to drive anyway, right?
No, sir, the majority of our dual employment is either via cafeteria or TAs. The reason why there are drivers on there, and as far as teachers, is mainly due to coaching is the reason why they have their CDLs. But the preponderance amount of people that are dual employed are cafeteria workers, or to be honest with you, TAs that are especially in the elementary school, that are going through is that dual employment opportunity.
That's big for
We
you.
had a conversation from certified employees, their contract, and clearly states and other duties as assigned by.
And we've been doing that for years.
Mr. Wayne?
Okay, just got to text them. How quickly are they going to get the forms to the teachers so they can turn them in before the 16th?
So the form will be made available to the principals tonight. I'll go ahead and email that to the principals, and they should be able to pick those up at the schools, meet with the principal tomorrow morning to get those applications.
And one more question, Mr. Craig. I know everybody's going to have a lot on them when this right here gets started back, but with all due respect to you, Dr. Williamson, maybe after the first day, it doesn't have to be a long text to everybody, just a little, everything went well today.
Yes.
no hiccups, or if that's not a
No, it's not.
problem, because you know what happens, if our phone blows up, then all 11 of us is gonna call, no, I'm kidding.
We will
Sorry.
certainly communicate daily.
Thank you.
Okay.
I've just got one quick question, Dr. Williamson. If a teacher has a child in school, would you consider letting them go, be exempt from the AB and letting them go every week?
We can, and that is a good practice, because again, we need to provide childcare if possible, so yes.
Thank you.
Anything else, folks? Okay. So,
Thank you for your support.
Dr. Williamson's coming back. Next item, there is a school board policy update. Mr. Gentry and Ms. Karen Brooks Floyd.
The policy committee met here on January the 21st to review the 2000 series policies. These are not new policies. They were considered revisions, updates. After a thorough review of the policies with participation from the committee and also remotely from a group of principals, and we did have a clarification of one point from Mr. Grady relating to immediate family and composition. Clarified that for us, and the policy committee was satisfied that they reflected the intent and mission of public schools of Robeson County. So I would submit these. This is not necessary for a second reading because they were revised policies. They were not new policies. And so I would like to make a motion that this be presented as an action item forward at this.
Second.
Policy. Set aside policy.
Motion to set aside policy. Motion to
set aside policy, okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gentry, second by Mr. Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, you want to make a motion to accept it.
I make a motion that the 2000 series policies be accepted, approved and accepted by the board at this time.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Gentry and a second by Mr. Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's done. Finance Committee, Ms. Erica, I'm sorry, Mr. Mike Smith. Mike first. You can do it together.
Oh, you want me to?
Okay. Go ahead and do, Mr. Mike, I'm gonna have him go first, Ms. Erica. I called your name, I should.
The Finance Committee met on January 21st and talked about numerous things, some of the stuff that we talked about before about the air conditions and some of the stuff that has been approved. Units and towns. And the two action items that we have, we want to set aside policy and move the additional athletic revenue to an action item and the St. Paul's High School lighting to an action item. So that's the first thing I'd like to do is set aside policy. Motion to set aside policy.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Dr. Emmanuel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You want to handle the revenue part?
Okay. Good evening, Chairman Lowry, Superintendent Dr. Williamson, and board members. At your desk, place two items. One says 2020, 2021 athletic revenue supplement, and give you some background on where this came from. Our high school schools are moving forward and are having sports programs, basketball, volleyball, and all. Started their seasons or finished their seasons and moving forward, football, soccer, and North Carolina High School Athletic Association has placed COVID restrictions on the number of families that can attend these games. So that severely restricts the revenue that our high schools have for gates, concessions, and anything else. So they're going to see a severe reduction in the revenue. they're still gonna have the same expenses. They're still gonna have to do reconditioning for helmets. They're still gonna have to, provide officials and all those things associated with these athletic events. So we started looking at the 5 of our high schools that have sports. Early college does not have sports. And looking at their 1920 revenue from their school funds accounts and what they brought in. We did look at Lumberton and alter theirs slightly because they had an abnormal season where they experienced a basketball co-championship. And there was some additional revenues that may not occur in every year. So you'll see the breakdown there I placed at your desk to show where we started from. And we wanted to ensure that every school would at least get a base of 30,000. So you'll see for each school, Fairmont, Lumberton, Red Springs, St. Paul's, and Pernan, what we're going to use local dollars to give these schools to support their athletic programs severe decline in revenue and what some of their current balances are. Any questions about where those numbers came from or anything else that you had?
Anybody have any questions?
And we know this is a starting point. This might not be it. We're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. If there are additional expenses that come up, this may be something that needs to be reviewed later on to continue supporting those athletic programs.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Brenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
The other, you got the other one?
I didn't have anything to provide.
That's fine. I'll tell them. At the finance meeting, we talked about Musco lighting. We wanted to put the lighting at St. Paul's High School, the lights where you can, like you do at Lumberton, where you can turn them on. But they want to be able to turn them on remotely instead of somebody, a custodian or a principal, somebody have to walk out there and this way, all you got to do is call Musco. They'll put in a condenser thing or whatever, and you can turn the lights on for people that want to walk in the afternoon or whatever. When we talked at the finance meeting, the price was kicked around 15,000. Since then, they went up there and looked at it, so the setting price is $10,300 to do this. It's like a 10-year contract. Recommend it. Recommendation.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Henry. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Also, before I conclude, and I was looking at if it works out for everybody, and the people on the finance committee are Dwayne Smith, Brenda Fairley, Barry, and Vontae. I'd like to have one on the 23rd at 6 p.m. It's that time of the season, we're go ahead and start talking about next year's preliminary budget a little bit and a couple other little issues we want to discuss. On a Tuesday, 23rd at 6 p.m. If that's all right. If you have a problem, let me know.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
What? Okay, is it the finance, construction, or both together? Where is it we get the plan of what we're going to do, like the paving and that for the next year or the next 5 years? Which committee?
So when we first met it, finance and construction was there together, and Mike's wanting to have this with finance. Now, we did some things together as far as what we were going to do this year, and those other items that was left on there, it was kind of left that we would come back and try to prioritize when we could do all of those. So, I mean, I'm just asked
Mr. Chairman,
if y'all want to try putting one of those together.
Mr. Chairman, we don't.
Like Randy said, Randy's chairman of construction. I mean, Randy said, and I can respect this, he said, there's no need for him to know if he don't have any money. So we can talk about it, prioritize it, and see what Erica says, that what kind of leadway we may have. And we can talk, like we did, talk about roofing and paving and other stuff and there.
Mr. Chairman.
That could be looked at.
That's up to Randy.
And in past years, we had the board retreat and all of that came up. Remember, we had a thing put together? It was done at our board retreat. She said next 5 years and all that.
It has been. I mean, there's what I passed out earlier, but that's not in the retreat as far as stuff like this. So, if we want to that night, my suggestion, it's only a suggestion, if we do finance and construction or just finance, and come back with some recommendations to the board for the March meeting. We could look at doing that as far as what we could go forth with what would last this year and could go over to next year. And that again is based on what monies we do have.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I thought I saw a list where you all had itemized, and we had itemized things like,
Yeah, well, I got the whole list here.
yeah, i.e. the paving at Rex Renner, and there were some other things there, and Dr. Ms. Furby's trailers, it was on that list, and that's what I'm talking about, is that list wherever it is.
What that, Dr. Manuel, there was 3 or 4 things that was said, okay, we're gonna do now. That was the roofing, that was the trailers, it's at Townsend. Might have been a couple other items, and some had been done, like some work here. Now, there's probably 8 or 9 other items on that list that I'm referring to, we need to look at and see what else could be done this year, or can we say we're gonna get it done next year? There's several other items. But there were some things done earlier when the first committees first met. We're doing that now, and that's what's being worked on. Those things are being worked on, but we do need to come back to this list and say, what else can we do?
Yeah.
Because there was probably 12 or 13 different items on it.
Yeah, I remember Rex Renner being on it one time, that's why I was asking, it's been on it probably 12 years and gets bumped down. I'm just trying to hold our place somewhere.
Right.
But Mr. Chairman, can we have that meeting in April since we may be starting school at the end of this month? Because the staff is going to really be busy trying to get this re-entrant thing in my opinion, and we don't want to overload them.
Well,
That's just a suggestion, that's all.
Yeah. Won't be nobody but those board members.
No. I mean, the information that's got to be gathered by everybody, that's all I'm talking about. That's what I'm speaking of.
Mike, go ahead and meet with your finance. We'll hold off, Miss Erica, if you can bring some numbers as to monies that may be available
Yes, sir.
till the end of June, the fiscal year.
Yes, sir.
And
We still got some, we know we got the 15 million, but we're not gonna spend the 15 million until we know about FEMA. We don't know about FEMA. We still got some moving targets. Now, as far as construction, and this is just me again, I know we did some work back where we closed school in Roland and this school here. I would like to see, Randy, to be honest, look at those, get another group of those schools that got 500 students or less, like we started last time, and start looking at those and see if there may be some other way to maybe consolidate 1 or 2 more schools or 3 more schools and cut some of this revenue down or expenses down. I mean, that's just me. I think that would be.
I would too when the pandemic is over, I really would. I wish it would be over tomorrow, tonight.
Yeah.
It's something to look forward to though.
Yeah. I'm done.
Let's just go ahead and have a finance meeting 23rd at 6 o'clock.
Anything you want to talk about, just get
Bring it to him.
Mr. Lowry or get it to me. And we'll talk about it.
Action items, Dr. Williamson? You already?
We've already.
They took care of yours? Okay. Miss Erica, the teacher sign-on bonus?
Packet that went out, this past week, I included like a small table of contents to show everything for finance. And so there were 2 sign-on bonus documents located within that went out with your package. One is for certified staff in specific license areas, a copy of that, and one for Lumberton Junior High. Because of 105 funding that school has conversations with the decision to include sign-on bonuses plan for school. And we're asking for those to be approved so we can move forward with those paid out for this year for those teachers.
Approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Ms. Brenda. Second. Second by Mr. Henry. Any discussion?
Just one question.
Ma'am.
Where are you paying this sign-on bonus? What's it coming?
The sign-on bonus for the specific license areas is coming out of the Title II Grant 103, and it's already been approved. There's 110,000 plus benefits set aside for that. And the Lumberton Junior High is coming out of their 105 funding.
Okay, I got that one. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Ms. Erica, the financial report?
The financial report was also a part of that document. And I want to, as part of that financial report, go back to the sheet I laid on your desk as well with the COVID funding. If anybody had any questions concerning either of those reports. As we stated, you know, we were operating with the COVID funding from the state with the idea that those funds would expire December the 30th. We heard at the very last minute they would not, but we already had contingency plans in place. The funds have been spent or transferred. And my next point will be the 34 COVID allocations that went out to the schools that some of the principals mentioned earlier. That was also a part of this document to show we allocated a little over $1 million to all the schools. They can use that for a specific PPE that was not given to them by the district. In specific areas that they may need some other things and or tutoring. So any combination, they could use those funds to provide after school tutoring as well.
Got a
Approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Question.
I got a question.
Mr. Tanner?
These additional fundings that's sent out to the school, if a school decides to purchase the headband clear shield, is that uniform throughout the school system, or is that something that school can elect to do?
That's something that school can elect to do because face shields are not necessarily a CDC requirement. So the district makes a CDC requirement. And if a school, they just need to make sure they use it in conjunction with a mask. Because it is in the toolkit that the shields cannot be used alone.
That's right.
It has to be used in conjunction with a mask.
Thank you.
Okay. Brenda?
Erica,
Yes.
I was looking at the frontline monies that the governor talked about earlier. Any of that funding, to your knowledge, have they gotten any definition on it yet where it would be going to some?
Frontline workers, I know the governor has presented a type of executive order for bonuses to school staff, but that has not been approved yet, and we haven't got the details on that yet.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you.
Dr. Manuel?
Miss Erica, I'm referring to the COVID funds.
Yes, ma'am.
121, the summer learning program. Do you know, or somebody can answer this, what planning or has any planning been done? Know anything
So
about
those
that?
funds have already been spent out. We have left in that budget. Talked about using CARES Act. Different summer enrichment, summer camps, we have started those discussions. What we're kind of waiting to see is if the new state superintendent will continue with Read to Achieve. Or if there'll be some new initiative, but we have started those conversations in all areas, Indian education, SY, all of those areas for summer, continuous summer enrichment.
Allegedly, if the money is approved, is what they're trying to get approved in Congress now, that you have buhukos of money.
We're already expecting, the planning allocation for our second round of ESSER is close to $45 million.
Wow.
It doesn't include anything that has not yet been approved by either Congress in Washington or, at the North Carolina level.
Wow.
And Ms. Erica, those funds like that with what you're working on could help with not extending the school year necessarily, but just providing classes for students in different kind of enrichment programs coming summer.
Yes.
Would give us some programs here.
And we have gear funding that we're gonna, bring forward. We worked on, both gear 169 and 170. I'm sorry, I always refer to them as numbers, but that's how my mind works to remember them. And 169, we had discussed additional contracted psychologists and school nurse extenders. And for the supplemental, focus on during the day's tutoring for students, maybe bringing in retired teachers. So all those plans are in the works as well.
Okay?
Call for the question.
Yeah, can we have a
Great job on
motion again?
I had the motion.
I know, you made it,
Yeah.
Mr. Mike made the motion to accept, Mr. Randy, Did you do the second? Who did the second?
I did.
Ms. Brenda did the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Great job.
Motion passes.
All right.
One more.
Budget amendments?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Anything we need to know, Ms. Erica?
They're all listed in the amendments.
Okay, motion to approve.
Second.
By Mr. Dwayne, second by Mr. Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Erica.
Thank you very much.
Randy?
I move that the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robeson County go into closed session for the purpose of discussing certified and classified personnel, North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A1 and 6, student transfers, North Carolina General Statute 115C-402, and North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A1, and to consult with the attorney retained by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robeson County, North Carolina, General Statute 143-318.11A1 and 3.
Second.
Second by Ms. Brenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in closed session. Motion to come out of closed session by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve personnel as amended?
I make such motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Henry, a second by Mr. Vontae. All those in agreement say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Motion to approve student transfers.
I make motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Vontae. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Approval closed session minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve closed session minutes. Motion by Ms. Brenda, second by Mr. Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any other comments? Mr. Gentry?
I have an announcement. The policy committee will meet on February the 26th to consider the 3,000 series policies.
That's that class.
The classes was the 26th.
Class of 26.
That class is the 26th.
We don't know what the classes are yet, do we?
All right, we'll have to come up with another date then.
But that's, that February 26th, that's the one that's on that Friday, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
The 9
that's on
to,
that Friday.
that all day?
We gotta decide which one.
You got to decide. So there could be a workshop that Friday, Mr. Gentry. It could be.
And there's one after that,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3. That's one of the days it could.
and at night.
That's certification year.
He can meet in the morning, wouldn't he?
Yeah, now, if Ms. Gentry, if you meet and yours is in the morning,
Yeah, we're gonna meet in the morning, right?
There's still.
But you already got parent schedule.
Friday would be that.
That's all.
10 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I thought there was a virtual class.
There
if you
is.
want- There's a virtual class if you wanted to take it on
Right.
the 26th.
Let me just-
They'll-
Those are credit hours.
And in the evening, if we want to.
Go
if we
to
want to
6
meet
o'clock.
also.
yeah.
So if they're not doing the virtual class, they can do it, but it's the virtual one all
Right.
day.
Yeah, the paper I gave you, if you do that class, it's like 9 to 4 all day long. And if you taking that one, that's on Friday the 26th. There's a possibility if the vote is with those ladies, we would be here that Friday evening
Right.
and that Saturday. It depends on how that plays out. So there will be some, I will tell you, there will be some that would be taking that Friday. So I'd say, Ms. Gentry, come up with
Can we meet on Tuesday the 23rd?
Tuesday the 23rd.
Something else we mentioned about the training.
I'm gonna meet.
Any problem?
I don't see a problem, he's got finance at night, but he would be in the morning.
Yeah, I'm meeting.
If you're on the policy, if you want to, could you be here that
All
morning,
right with you?
Yeah, I thought.
23rd?
23rd?
I thought something else on it too.
Well, this says 26, but obviously the Tuesday is on the 23rd, so
No, the
Tuesday,
other.
23rd.
23rd, okay, at 10 o'clock,
Yes, sir.
Please don't say that.
okay?
Send us an email.
We try to kind of cover it again, what I was just going to reiterate, folks. What you need to get with me on the workshop with the 2 ladies, please notify me by Monday so I can get with them. 2 days or 1 day spaced out. And then if you want to do that workshop, the 26th, please get in contact with Miss Patty or the other ones so she can get us registered for that. And I will just make the reminder of the cost of that one. So make sure if you sign up for it that we do attend. Any other comments? Have a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vontae, second by Mr. John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.